Be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart. He said that fool, you weren't cool. He took a book to your school. Be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart. Don't get shocked if you get mocked. It's what you find when you use your mind. Don't you sweat it, look 'em in the eye. Don't regret it, hold your head high. Be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart. Try to show some tenderness, even when they're playing chess. You think it's dumb to be smart, but that's the way you make art. So be smart, dummy, dummy, be smart. Use your brain, that's a start. It's okay to be smart. Don't you think that you are cool? Sorry, dummy, the joke's on you.
Hi, I'm James Eade, and this is Change Your Mind. I live in the divided states of America, and basically we try to change other people's minds. But I think it all starts inside when we think about changing our own minds. And, how do we do that? We are set in our ways often. We think we know the score, and we have to educate other people, and we disagree with them, and we try to make them see it our way. But what about taking a step back and thinking about it from other perspectives? Can we learn that skill? Can we learn to change our minds? Well, today's topic is going to be, let me see if I can change this around here. There, video games. Because I'm a chess master, and I believe in chess as a gift that you give to a child. You give the gift of chess for a lifetime because it teaches them skills that they directly transferable back into their classroom. So it's an educational tool when they're young. It's a pleasant pastime when you're an adult, and it's a solace in old age. When you're playing chess, you're totally absorbed in the game. You're not thinking about doctors and medical appointments and all that kind of stuff. So it's a gift that lasts a lifetime. And I believe that it teaches us ways to think that things like mathematics, music do both discipline and creativity in ways that, like video games, how could they possibly approach chess as a reasonable way to spend your time or to allow children to do? So I'm going to bring in a guest now, Jacoby. Hi, Jacoby. How are
Hi.
you?
Pretty good in yourself, Jim.
Yeah, did I set that up well for you? You're going to tell me that chess is not the best game in the world?
I mean, I'm gonna try and do it my best. I don't know if I can do the melodious sound that you did
Oh,
because you were
oh, you're getting off to a great start, Jacoby. Flattery will get you everywhere. But
but
I know you call yourself a gamer. That's why I've asked you on. And let's start with that. What do you mean by gamer? What does that mean?
so basically, I consider myself a casual gamer
Uh-huh.
more so than a hardcore gamer. I enjoy playing video games. I played for a very long time. Started way back with the Nintendo. Well, actually, even before that, Atari, and since video games have been around forever.
I
But
remember Atari. There was
yep,
Pong.
well, even more so, the worst game in the world came out on the Atari, which was E.T. Why they just thought this was going to be a great game, I don't know, but that they made an ET game. But yeah, I've been playing video games forever and still play video games now. It's a great pastime.
Did you play video games when you were this young? I had tape on my glasses. What a nerd.
Well, actually, yes.
Okay, so you started playing young and you're still
Yep.
playing. You have a child now.
Yep.
I know I heard him earlier. So you're an adult and you're still
Yep.
playing.
Still playing. Actually got one who enjoys watching YouTube video or YouTube Kids videos, and the other one, she actually is hooked on playing The Sims.
Oh, which I never got into. I never tried even, but I've read wonderful things about it.
Oh, The Sims is a phenomenal game.
Okay.
The cool thing about The Sims is, I mean, it's a game about managing life. in a sense. I mean, you create it. You basically, it's a God game where you're controlling everything that's going on, but you
Right.
have this one little world that where there are people living in the world. You've got to make sure they get to a job in time. They make
Ah,
relationships. They go out to, for entertainment purposes, may go to the movies, may go to a club, may go to a bar, but also they've got to rest. They've got to go home and go to sleep
yeah.
because they got to go to
Okay.
work in the morning.
So it sounds like the only game that I know that sounds like that, but it sounds different. It was Civilization. You know that game, right?
Yes, I love Civilization.
I do
Civilization
too.
is a very fun game. Matter of fact, I've got Civilization on Civilization or Civ 6.
Civ 6, yeah.
Yep, that one's sitting in the background. And
When we say Civ 6, we mean that's the 6th version of the game. So
yes,
that's how popular it's been.
the 6th version of the new version of the game.
Yes. Good thing you pointed that out, because this just for your reader, the viewers' entertainment, is in its 4th edition now. That was a shameless plug for me.
But chess, there are many games that are based off of chess, really, and a lot of people consider games like League of Legends one of the biggest esports as to be related to chess, or closely related to chess. But a lot of games are really.
Well, it annoys me when broadcasters say that the coaches on different teams are playing chess or they're involved in a chess match.
Yeah.
No, they aren't. You have no idea.
See, it's all
You're sitting across from this other chess master who's for 4 hours, and you're just trying to outthink them the whole time. It's not the same, guys. It really isn't. But go on, Jacoby.
See, it's all about perspective.
Yes.
Yes. Again, like The Sims, it's a God game. You're moving around pawns, or
you're moving the pieces
on a board. In The Sims, you're moving around people in this world or board, and they're moving around this area. And in The Sims, you're not actually conquering others. In other games, you are, though.
Right. In Civilization, for example. But you think that this is a good use of your child's time?
Yes. Yes.
You think they learn life lessons? This is the thing that I want to get to.
So there's a lot of things that you learn from video games. And even if you take, for example, chess, a lot of times you played chess. Well, I don't want to speak for you, so I'll ask you that question. A lot of times when you're playing chess, do you play it just for stress relief because you're just wanting to have some fun?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a video game.
Yeah.
And that stress relief is something that we all seek and that we all need in our lives, because especially like during the times of COVID, we couldn't really go out and hang out with friends.
Absolutely.
But in terms of socializing, that's the one thing that is one thing that games have above pretty much any other thing, is because you have that ability to get on a headset or to get on a microphone and talk to a friend that could be overseas or could be in the next house over, but their parents wouldn't allow them to come over because of COVID. Or in the middle of the night, let me sit there and play with a buddy of mine, because I need that socialization. I need somebody to talk to and to get something off my chest. Well,
so you're talking about multiplayer games. When I was growing up, that wasn't really possible. This was pre-internet. So this is something that I really wasn't exposed to. So this is an important point that you're making, I think.
So that's one thing. And that's the new age, because multiplayer online or MMOs have been there for a very long time, but it's still relatively new. Even in the gaming world, it's still exploding and expanding. But in terms of games themselves, even solo player games, sometimes you get trapped or enthralled within the story. Sometimes you get you fall in love with the chess match of the video game because you're playing against an AI that can challenge you in ways. And it becomes fun. So like The Legend of Zelda, it's a single player game, but the story and the puzzles that they put before you It's fun. It's challenging. And a lot of these puzzles, even when Civ, it's a MMO now, or you can do PvP or player versus player. But even before then, Civ was just, I'm trying to conquer this world as this one ruler. And to do that, I've got to take on and battle against this AI and this other AI now who are building civilizations at the same time I'm building.
Right.
So it's a good games themselves. There are just so many facets of them that we never think about that are fun for kids and educational for kids and adults, just to pass the time.
And I think one of the points that I want to make, because it's important to me, and you described yourself as a casual gamer, and I wish I could be a casual chess player. I became too competitive, and there are a lot of downsides to being as intense as I was. I was playing at a level where winning turned out to be everything, and a loss would affect me emotionally, physically, and I would start to question my identity. And so I would try to get stronger and stronger, and so I became wrapped up in something that really isn't as good as a game as chess is. It's just a game, and when it becomes your life, it's a problem. And when it becomes part of your identity, it's a problem. Is this something you may have not relate to this because you're a casual gamer, but do you encounter gamers that are too wrapped up in the gaming world?
So being a casual gamer isn't. So what you're talking about is that diehard esports player that's really getting into it, or that super hardcore gamer that's really getting into it. It's the same thing, and people do some. There are some that do get so tied into games that they're sick when they don't play it. But that happens with anything and everything. Yes. So we can't really focus so heavily on that. Being a casual gamer, like the conventions that are out there are tons of casual gamers that go out there. But the cool thing about games, about video games that chess can't provide, like that identity that you're searching for. In a video game, the beauty of it is that you can make that identity. You can truly, say, for example, Fortnite. There are casual and hardcore gamers of playing Fortnite, esports players, so on and so forth, playing all night. And that becomes their identity. And their identity is that character that they built using the different graphics. They're called skins, but to design this character, to make this character look how they feel inside. So it's that identity that they're actually able to create. Unlike chess, if it's hard to fall in love with the rook, okay? It's a cool chess piece. Maybe I can get some ivory, but then I've got to buy a whole nother chess set to match.
I'm kind of partial to the knights.
But you can't take a piece of tape and color it in the way that you want, that you can in a video game. And even if you're playing a solo game, not even a massive multiplayer or an MMO, say if you're playing a game like Final Fantasy, which is one of the biggest games out there, it's the biggest franchises out there. A game like Final Fantasy, you may fall in love with the story of Final Fantasy,
right?
And fall in love with Cloud. Cloud is one of the biggest characters in Final Fantasy VII. He's your main antagonist that you're playing as, and you could fall in love with him. So then, next convention you go to, you know what? I'm going to dress up as my identity and be Cloud at this place. So it's a good way. It's a good way to. Games have a self-expression that many other places don't have. You can create a graffiti wall, but it's not me. I can't take it with me. But I can.
One of my cousins talks about cosplay. Is this kind of like that you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what cosplay is.
I see.
So cosplay is, I am this person. Mm-hmm. It's short for costume player, but
right.
But I am this person. I am who I am dressed up as.
And you can don and shed identities.
Yes, you
So
can.
I
And
think
you can- so
that would be freeing, wouldn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful about cosplay and how it ties to you know, you can cosplay as Harry Potter because you read the books or
Yeah,
you know, you love the character in the movies. Same thing with X-Men. There are plenty of
I
people
was
who-
Snape. Does that
Oh,
say
really?
something about me?
So I mean, and that's the beauty of video games as well, because it's a little bit more interactive than a book and a movie. And you can be this character. You can
Yeah.
now have this massive world that you're now going in. So one of the biggest games that ever came out, WoW or World of Warcraft.
Yes,
And
I've
that was
heard of
the beauty of that game is, okay, I'm creating a night elf. This night elf has glowing blue eyes, and
Yeah.
you know, my apparel my skins that I put on, you know, I can now create that in the real world and walk around.
I dated one of those in college. Yeah.
Oh, right. Are we talking about the same night elf? I don't know, Jim.
No, well, maybe not.
So, but that's the beauty of gaming is that it's freeing, as you pointed out. It's self-expression to the fullest in some video games. You know, Street Fighter has even bought into it. Street Fighter, of course, you know, you've got Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li, and all these individuals just in a fight. But now the new Street Fighter 6 that came out allows for you to create your own character. So you can make them however you want to look. You can now go to different places and train with Chun-Li because you like her flash kick or her kick. And you can go to Ryu and get the fireball. You can go to Dacium and get the extendable arms. So you can create your character based on
you're actually changing my mind, Toby. And the other thing that I think about that I did not understand before is that you can do this with friends.
Yep.
You can be like a team, or is that not quite right?
Well, no, it is. So, for example, the first-person shooters, how everybody gets so agitated with first-person shooters.
Yeah, like
And
Doom or what was it? Something.
So, just so everybody understands, there's first-person and third-person shooters. Third-person, just like in a book, third-person perspective is different from first-person perspective.
Right.
When I'm saying I'm using that first person, correct?
Right.
When I'm saying you, or he is, that's that third person. So in the video game, it's the same thing. So your first person, you're looking out of the eyes and you see basically your hands or whatever's in your hands. And that third person, you're looking from behind the person and watch, and the camera follows.
That's a really important point because, you know, I did go into that first person experience and I found it very agitating. I got hyped up. It wasn't relaxing at all. So it turned me off. And so maybe listening to you talk about like third person, maybe that's the kind of thing that I would be more interested in.
Yeah. So like for me, I enjoy playing like first person shooters I'm okay with, and even third person shooters I'm okay with. But when I do the racing games, third person is what I need. I struggle driving with first person perspective. So anytime I'm doing a racing game, it's much easier for me to do that third person perspective rather than first person.
So you could pick and choose.
Yes.
What you like.
Yep. And then if you look at in terms of like the education parts of the first person shooters, like many of them are many FPSs or first person shooters are group activities, like you're talking about playing with friends. It gives you the opportunity, you're playing as a team to go after the other team or whoever else is out there.
Well, it's like paintball.
Yes. So if you think about if you think in military, that military perspective, or even in police or law enforcement, one of the biggest things that you need is to be able to communicate within a team.
Yes.
And that is one of the biggest things within FPSs is that, hey, these guys are working as a unit trying to go from point A to point B,
How
and they're
interesting.
figuring that out. So that is a huge education point for first-person shooters that we don't normally think about.
Right. I wouldn't have.
That
Yeah.
is- And then if you take, for example, Fortnite is the game itself is about lasting to the end. And the way you last to the end, there are various ways. But one of the most important ways is building. So you have to learn how to construct a quote unquote fort in the fastest way possible and the easiest way possible. So you have your basic square panel, you have your basic triangle panel that now they added in. You can create windows so you can peek out and see if there's anybody coming. But yeah, you create forts. So if you think
while
about,
you're being attacked, you create.
exactly. So think about city planning.
Yes.
What do you have to do with city planning? You have to you have to create streets and roads, or you have to create electrical areas and just figure out the best positioning for the least amount of, if you're creating a pipeline for trying to create a new pipeline for
The most efficient use of it and the most, right.
And so with Fortnite, that's something that you end up learning is because you've got to create the most efficient fort that you've got to live in. So,
Right.
Okay, now let's look at a city and figure out, okay, well, walkways are here. There's a large population here. How do you go from point A to point B? Civilization does that.
Do people talk about like building a fort offline, like after they played the game?
Yeah.
So it's also there's a social element to this afterwards.
Huge social element.
Huge social element.
Huge. So everybody knows Facebook. Everybody knows all these social media platforms. But your gamers needed to be able to talk to each other, and gamers used to use what I think it was IRQ instead of AOL. AOL Messenger. Then now gamers jumped on what's called Discord. Discord has been around for a little while, but Discord became the communication platform.
I gotta write this down.
Platform. And Discord is still out there now. Discord is huge. It's just blowing up. And a lot of other companies are starting to figure out that, okay, this is where gamers are.
Yeah.
And this is how I can utilize Discord, not only to talk to gamers, but to create my own community, because that's what you're doing with Discord, is creating a community.
Interesting. And that's where some eyeballs are too. If you're you want to get people's attention, that's where you would go. And it's a charming name, Discord. It's immediately attractive to me.
But it's been out there what's crazy is when they started up, they got a $30 million either loan or grant just to start up. So Jim, anytime we want to start something new, let's get that $30 million.
Okay. We'll co-write the grant.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Well, you've really opened my eyes, Toby. Is there anything else I haven't asked you about the gaming communities that you think the audience might be interested in? Because I'm not as familiar with it as I probably should have been. But it seems to me that there's a lot about it that I had preconceived notions about. Like they're nerds, they're sitting at home by themselves, they're in their basements, and they're eating cookies, or it's not healthy. I had a lot of these preconceived notions, which you're helping to dispel. Is there anything else that you would like to address along those lines? For example, just say how healthy it can be.
I mean, I can go on for days about games.
Yeah, I bet you could. Silly question.
There are a ton of stereotypes about games because it is that new thing on the block. If you think about years ago when rock and roll came out, rock and roll was the music of the devil. People didn't want to do it.
That's correct.
When movies hit, for a while, movies were
sound in the movies.
Yeah, everything. So this is just falling in that same pathway, because they've utilized games in with elderly patients to help them,
I
because
can
if you
see
think
that.
a lot of elderly can't really get out and get active. But
Right.
hey, I can bring a Nintendo Wii over there, and that elderly person can now play golf.
That's
The
brilliant.
elderly person can now get some exercise, just movement around. Also, there was, matter of fact, there's a VR game called Goliath that actually is, you'll get teary eyed about it, but when you play it, because it is more so a VR experience, and that's another world that we're going, another part of video gaming. It hasn't taken off yet. It's been
Right.
around for a while,
Right.
but it's
Sure.
still just growing. But in the VR game Goliath, for example, it was based on a story of a guy, and it's supposedly a true story. I've got to do some more research on it, but he's telling the story of how he had schizophrenia, but the way that he was able to manage, and because you can't really overcome it, and hey, I'm all no, but the way you're able to manage it and live in the world and be okay for him was through gaming, dealing with not only VR, and it was wild play. It's wild playing the game, because you see all of the. He talks about the images that he saw, how in the face it felt that people were, and how alone at times he felt, seeing his toys even that he would play with, his little bitty robot, but it'd fall apart and he's all alone. And it's very jarring as a person who, I don't have schizophrenia, but it can give me that experience
Right.
that this gentleman is going through. So there are experiences like that in
That's
gaming.
powerful. Wow.
Yeah. And the same thing with stories, how you can watch, uh, was his Saving Private Ryan, and
Oh
how
yeah. Yeah.
emotionally you attached you get in that movie.
Yeah.
You can do the same in gaming, and I'm talking about adults. One of the greatest shows that just hit HBO, and a lot of people didn't know that it was based off a game, was The Last of Us.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that, and I didn't
The
know that it was. I never saw the game, but I saw the show.
the game is an adult game,
Yeah.
and The Last of Us, when you're watching the show, it's powerful and painful, because
Yes.
it's a father-daughter story, and it's a story of humanity.
Right.
And in the game, it translated. It came out before, and it truly translated, and
Right.
it hurt you to play the game. Physically, or emotionally,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
crying while
Right.
you're playing this game,
Right.
because you're having to do these. You're going through this, and you feel it. And then part two, those of us who played part two, you cried the first one because you had to go through it. You cried the second one even more, because not only is it longer and you have to go through these things, but then it forces you to do things that you're like, okay, I don't want to play this anymore, but I want to see what the story takes you. So there are emotional pieces that you can get attached to. It's a great medium. And then there's an artwork, there's a argument that people have, is it artwork or is it just coding? Which
Yeah.
I think it's artwork.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is your perspective, and you've really changed my mind, Jacoby. But I have to say, The Last of Us, the female star of it played Olivia Dunham in Fringe, and so
Yep.
that was the hook for me. It was like I saw her, it was just so I had to tune in and watch it. But then it was captivating in the emotional way that you're saying. So
And it's scary because the way they wrote that show is better than The Walking Dead, because it has a more
yes,
realistic beginning, and it's freaky.
yes.
And that's
And
the
the
way
relationship of a couple of the survivors, that all of that stuff is just like, wow. and it changes your perspective, which is all that we can ask of literature, of games, of conversations between two friends. Thank you so much, Jacoby. I got to run out of time. I've got to take you backstage, but I really appreciate you educating me about gaming.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. Bye-bye. All right. Jacoby, a casual gamer, taught me a great deal on this show. And I wanted to just say one more thing. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So you can write to me at this address, crawling across the bottom of your screen. And but I want to tune in Fridays Eastern Time at 5. And I hope that you will be seeing me again. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Change Your Mind. And the Roman god Janus in my lower left-hand corner is going to be replaced by a more modern version because we can change our minds. And just remember, every weekend is a new beginning.